How is everyone? It's quite warm in San Francisco today. So just to start off, I've been designing garment bags and totes and clutches and a whole array of both leather and cotton accessories since 2008. I have explored manufacturing overseas, most recently this past summer while in Vietnam, while I also had personal connections and decided it was best to stay local. So I'm here today to kind of talk about the benefits of making a product locally. So this could apply to food, other kinds of accessories, apparel, and whatnot. So hopefully today you'll learn some things and leave some takeaways. So why does local manufacturing matter? I think one of the biggest things is quality control. Amongst my network of friends and other fellow designers, both large and small, and designers that are also doing big orders for QVC, keeping a close eye on quality control is probably the most crucial. Being close to your factory and your manufacturer is crucial to getting a really good, solid product out there. And it's best to have something done really well in order to be passed on to a department store or boutique. Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't sell, it's not only a failure, but there could be chargebacks and there could be other issues later on down the line. Manufacturing local also is important to supporting the local economy and community. It's bringing jobs here to people in San Francisco. It's keeping minimum wage up. It's creating more of a vibrant community, and as of late, we have seen a lot of people like Everlane and Kuyana and other companies making their products here locally or exploring other options in California. Brand identity is also important. Pride of place, kind of like rickshaw bags or Fred Salvador, another local manufacturer. The pride of made in San Francisco, made in California. Shorter manufacturing lead times. A lot of times you may have a quick turnaround order with a retailer that wants something in a month or so. If you were manufacturing overseas, sometimes those lead times could be anywhere from 3 to 4 months also, and they also have longer minimums as well. Cutting costs with extra inventory, and that allows you to create only what you need. Ability to customize. A lot of times customers want things monogrammed, they want a specific color, they want a specific trim. When you are making your product locally, you are able to kind of work hand in hand with your factory and your manufacturers and make those things happen. And if you're thinking, God, where are those resources here? Well, they are here. There's a lot of screen printers, there's a lot of fabric suppliers, there's a lot of manufacturers on some of those hidden alleyways down in Soma that I'll share later. Controlling textile waste, for us, we use a lot of the leftover leather to make tassels and our labels. So I'm able to go to the factory, pick up the leftover materials, ship those off to the person who does our tassels in LA, and I'm able to kind of recycle a little bit of my material use. And helping reduce footprint of the global supply chain. If you're making a product overseas, obviously there's a lot of transportation, taxes, duties, and there's a lot of emissions going into this whole supply chain, which we'll go into shortly. What did I do? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm trying to go forward, and here we go. The supply chain. So if you were tasked with making a product that was going to be developed, moving into a retailer, this is kind of the supply chain cycle of how things work. If you were to work with a retailer like a Barney's or a Macy's, on a smaller scale, a Gumps. It's been great for me to work with Gumps because sometimes I'll just drop things off versus ship and turn things around really quickly for them. But in an ideal world, it's good to keep these things in mind if you're developing a product that is going to go to like a QVC or a Macy's or a bigger retailer. So when keeping all these things in mind, your life could be a little bit easier if you did keep things locally, where you had your close eye on everything kind of going on, including some of the factory sourcing, the vendor compliance. A lot of the big retailers will give you a whole packet of things you got to follow and guidelines on how to ship a product, which, trust me, I'll put on my glasses and pay really close attention, because if you mess up on any of those things, sometimes it's 10 to 15% that they'll charge back to you based on the order that they place. Moving forward, going down to sale, I always feel lucky if your product doesn't go on sale in the first 6 months. That's a good sign. But then the consolidation and the shipping control, and just there's a whole life cycle that goes on. Now, this is some impact areas. If you do choose to manufacture overseas, this is more for the eco-conscious designer or manufacturer. Raw materials take a lot of energy and a lot of water and a lot of resources to make. So that's one thing to consider when making a product overseas. A lot of, if you're not closely watching the people that you're working with, they could be overusing energy or water or some of your fabrics and such. The same goes for textile dyeing and finishing mills. That's a high volume, high impact area where there's a lot of water pollution as well. And transportation is probably the biggest one. And along with transportation, you have the taxes and the duties and all of that and whatnot. And of course, longer lead times. So when you're making a product and you're thinking about, well, why should I make my product local? I think right now a lot of customers, they want local and they're becoming a little bit more educated. And they're looking for that thing, whether it's made in USA or made in California. And I feel like they also take a lot of pride in products that are made in their home or close. There's a price and quality differentiation, but a lot of times the quality is pretty top-notch and the materials are pretty great. So that's also an upsell. It cuts out the middlemen and puts more money into the local economy and of course, reduces transportation costs and environment destroying energy, wasting long hauls. So I like to say local is the new black. It's cool. If you can make it happen, it's a lot of hard work, and it probably is a lot of research, and it's a very old school network, which we'll go into, and I'm gonna share some local resources. But it's definitely worth it. And of course, there are some resources here in San Francisco. One is Western Storks does a lot of leather cutting and die cuts and things. So if you're looking to have your label heat stamped or made, they used to be in a city there in Burlingame, and Craig is really great to work with, really helpful. For any new designer, or anyone looking to make a new product, I would highly suggest going to speak to Seymour Jaron at SJ Manufacturing. They're over on Townsend Street, and he's had his manufacturing firm here since the 70s and is one of the first graduates of FIT. He's very old school. He's this older man who won't retire. He's still kicking, and he was one of my manufacturing mentors and really taught me a lot. And one of the things he mentioned is do one product first and do that well before you grow and expand. And he's been instrumental in launching Bonnaboos and a lot of other small startup designers that have gone on to bigger and great things. SF Made is a great organization that is a resource for designers, foodies, other organizations like trade, manufacturing. So there's a ton of resources there, so I'd highly suggest checking that out. Discount Fabrics has a fabric store that's, whenever I have these last minute custom orders and need to get something, they kind of always have something great. I had to do, when I first started out, I had to do a custom order for some of the New England Patriots. I had to do 12 garment bags for the players, but they needed it in like a week. So I couldn't do the wholesale order. So I went over to Discount Fabrics, picked everything out, Still great price, it's close to wholesale, and was able to turn it around really quickly. My factory was close by, so that's one of the benefits of being local, not missing out on missed opportunities that could be crucial to growing your brand. Western Textile and Manufacturing, they're a great manufacturer if you're looking for bigger bulk orders. They do a lot of tote bags, wine bags, corporate stuff. It's who I've been kind of working with for corporate orders, and they're based in Sausalito, and then they have another manufacturing facility in Texas. So very organized. Once you get on the phone with these people, call them up, talk to them, keep calling. They don't respond to email at all. They don't know what Twitter is. You have to show up and you have to keep knocking on their doors. It's a very old school mentality, and it's not at all what we're all probably used to here living in San Francisco. So you kind of have to like go about things like your grandparents would in the old days. Napa Hide House is great. They're up in Napa. I still use a lot of their leather. Some designers kind of grow out of it, but I kind of enjoy driving up there occasionally, even though I'll have some stuff sent to me. It's an excuse to have some wine as well. But they have a great array of cow hides, lambskins, and a lot of embossed leathers and smooth leathers that you could use for upholstery or bags or belts or accessories or anything. The Design Center, if you're into interior fabrics, they have everything. It's great. Everything from Schumacher fabrics to Durley to all the top fabrics. And so I would highly recommend taking a tour, setting up some wholesale accounts, because that's where you get the good stuff. Pickering International is all organic materials. They have a lot of organic cottons, hemp, cotton blends, bamboo, fibers of that nature. They're up in Nob Hill, so that's another fabric resource that you have. And Forward Printing, I believe, is in Oakland. Screen printers, but there's tons of screen printers in the city, and I don't work with screen printers as much, but there's a ton over there. So great resources, make valuable connections, remember to knock on a door, and working together. Wanted to share some work shares and workshops and places where you can get some ideas brewing, maybe meet some potential partners. Makeshift Society, Hub Soma is a great work share place, Pear Soma. Brit & Co. does a lot of creative, cool stuff in Nob Hill that could inspire you or get your creative juices flowing, where they're just making fun products, and it's kind of like a crafting community. Local media, you know, when it is time to launch a product, there's a lot of local media here that are out at a lot of the events. I would highly suggest meeting with some of these people, introducing your line to these people, inviting them for a coffee or lunch or whatnot. 7x7 still has a fashion section, San Francisco Magazine, Refinery 29, whatnot. And then, you know, from the tech side, TechCrunch, you have all the tech blogs as well, Wired, Dwell. And then there's a whole growing area of lifestyle and style bloggers here as well, like Apartment 34, Shop Sweet Things, and Gal Meets Glam. And some of these girls are really selling out product and really making a name for themselves nationally. So sometimes you may get more eyeballs working with a fashion blogger versus 7x7. And that's it. So if anyone has any questions or anything, happy to share any other info. But yeah, that's what we have for making a product locally.